Hi everyone. Today I'm talking about relaxation. That is one of the 6 pillars of well-being, or 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and I think it's one that we overlook way too often. And today I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't forget to relax. Relaxation should really be a non-negotiable. Unfortunately, we live very, very busy lives, and we often forget to relax properly. Now, I am sitting here in a hot tub. I don't own a hot tub, but my wife and I have gone away for the weekend, and we have gone, I guess you would say, off-grid to a tiny little cabin on a farmsteading, and it had a hot tub. Now, this is a log-fired hot tub, which I fired up at 5 o'clock this morning and put so much firewood in that I actually had to then run a hose pipe into it to cool it down, because it was up at about 55 degrees. I couldn't get in. So there's several shots of me trying to put my feet in the water and giving up. Anyway, as I was saying, 7 reasons. There's probably a lot more, but I'm going to tell you the 7 main ones that I think of are useful for people who maybe haven't considered relaxation as necessary. So here goes. So reason 1 is it reduces your stress. I mean, that sounds kind of obvious, but from a physiological point of view, it reduces the stress hormone cortisol. And cortisol's like, it's not fight or flight. Cortisol is if you imagine you're on the start line of a race and the guy who's the judge who's going to start the race says, on your marks, get set, and he never says go, that feeling, that's cortisol. So if you reduce your cortisol levels and they drop, then actually your body feels less tense, less distressed, and you're much more likely to feel calm. So reducing your stress hormones is probably top of the list as to why you should take more time to relax. Now, the next thing that happens when you relax is that you're in a state that allows your body to feel unafraid, and your blood pressure drops. And when your blood pressure drops, you have a reduction in your cardiovascular risk, and by that I mean you reduce your rate of potential heart attacks and strokes. And if we don't take time to relax, then those risks go up. I mean, think of how many people you've met over the years who've maybe had a heart attack or a stroke, and they worked very, very busy lives and they never took time to relax and chill out, and then people say, oh well, it was his job, it was so stressful. That's what I'm talking about. Taking time to relax will reduce your cardiovascular risk, particularly if you do it every day, because it brings down those parameters. It brings down blood pressure and it reduces the stress on the cardiovascular system. So the second reason is it reduces your cardiovascular risk. So the third reason is pain. Pain control is improved by relaxation. When we're relaxed, we have a decrease in our muscle tension. And as the tension releases off the joints and the ligaments and everything, then the nerves are less likely to spike with those pain feelings. But importantly, when you're relaxed, it makes you much more able to cope with pain. And so incorporating relaxation into your day, if you're someone who struggles with pain, I realize that it's hard to do that when you are in pain, but consider that it might actually reduce your pain. 4 is better sleep. That's kind of obvious. If you are relaxed, you are bound to get better sleep. It's very hard to fall asleep and have a good night's sleep when we have a lot of things going through our mind and we're in a stressful or distressful situation. The main reason for that is your body thinks you're unsafe. It's not going to let you go to sleep. Think back to 1,000 or 10,000 years ago. If you're living in the savannah and you've been put out of the tribe and you're living on your own, are you going to sleep well at night? No, because you're going to think you might get eaten by hyenas or some other predator. So sleep is much improved by being relaxed. And so doing a bit of breath work, doing some relaxation techniques prior to bedtime might help you improve your sleep. And it certainly has good evidence for people who have issues with insomnia, which is very closely linked to anxiety. So better sleep in at number 4. I hope you can still see with all this steam. It is still about 50 degrees in this tub. Anyway, number 5 is digestion. You'll have all heard of the fight or flight response. That's when adrenaline spikes and it puts your body into that state, is the word I'm looking for, a state where you feel like you have to fight the lion or run away from the lion. It's a very ancient state of being, or response I should say. It's a very ancient response. But that's driven by a thing called the sympathetic nervous system, and I think of that as it's having sympathy for you and it's trying to help you in a difficult situation. The opposite of that is what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's other nickname would be the rest and digest nervous system. So instead of fight or flight, you're resting and digesting. So when you take time to relax, it puts you into that digestive state. It means more blood is diverted away from the muscles and to the guts instead, and that allows your guts to work better. So if you're someone who has issues with gut upset, have a think. Is this because I don't spend enough time relaxing? Particularly in the aftermath of a meal, a lot of us eat at our desks and then we go straight back into work. That is not good for our gut health. So consider a bit of relaxation during the day after meals in particular, and you might find your digestive symptoms are a bit better. Okay, number 6 is mental health and anxiety, things like that. That probably is quite obvious, but it's obvious me saying it, and it's perhaps obvious you hearing it, but it's maybe not obvious in terms of how you're going to do it. Now, the reason that we should be doing relaxation when we have issues with our mental health is because it reduces anxiety. It's back to that cortisol level. It reduces your fear state and makes you more likely to be able to cope with things that are going on. As a result of that, mood goes up. If you're less anxious all of the time, you're less likely to be having issues with your mood. And you can develop other mental health benefits from taking some time to relax. We're just not very good at it. I said at the beginning, our lives are very, very full, and the person who we often neglect is ourselves. And in another video, I don't know if I did a short on that one or a long form. If it's available, I'll put the thumbnail there. That is a video about why it's important to put your own gas mask on first. There's no point in trying to rescue others if you're drowning or if you're dying of asphyxiation and you're suffocating in an airplane. You've got to put your mask on and then you can help others. And the same goes for your well-being. Look after yourself first. It might sound selfish, but you cannot help others if you're not helping yourself first. So relaxation helps anxiety, helps mental health, improves mood, all of those things. Really make it a priority if you feel that sounds like it might be you that needs that. Right, and finally in at number 7 is creativity. Taking time to relax improves your creativity. It improves the clarity of your mind. It enhances those parts of the brain that are just in the background, not getting a chance to demonstrate things. And when you take time to relax, they can come to the forefront. It'll sound a bit of a paradox, but I find that happens when I'm out running. So if I spend a lot of time running after the first few awful kilometers of trying to get my breathing right, I feel like I can begin to think clearer, I can begin to make sense of what happened the day before, I can come up with creative ideas, and it's a sort of mindfulness practice. So a bit like meditation, if you're taking time to relax in a very, very deep way, you might find that your creative abilities, your self-awareness, your general kind of being is improved by that, and creativity is amongst that, because if you are able to become more creative, then you are able to solve problems, you're able to think your way out of situations, you're able to come up with solutions. So in at number 7, and by no means least, I should say, is creativity. Right, finally, thank you for watching. I am going to have to get out of this hot tub. I am absolutely melting. And this is doing nothing for my stress, it's putting it right up. So I hope you appreciate the efforts I've gone through today to try and bring you this video, but I am going to get out and have a cold shower, and then we'll be leaving in about half an hour from this this luxury weekend that we've had. We don't get it often enough. We haven't got the sort of access to childcare that some people might have, so to get once a year just the two of us away, somewhere secluded, although you can hear a main road down there, but it's not too bad. But away from all responsibility is a very surefire way to find some relaxation in your day. So if you do something like this, make sure you take plenty of stuff with you that'll allow you to relax. And I don't mean your iPad, cans of beer, things like that. I mean just things that will calm you down. Books, journaling, drawing, creative things, hot tub, strolls in the wood. All of that will bring your stress levels down. So take some time for you, or else everyone else will take your time.